98FM Dublin Talks. Call 6797 981.
It's 98FM's Dublin Talks. Good morning, my name is Jeremy Dixon and I'm in the hot seat today for Adrian until midday today. Now, first of all, the ways to contact us: you can text or WhatsApp or send a WhatsApp voice note to 0877 98 98 98. 0877 98 98 98. If you're a regular listener to the show, you will know that many of our listeners contact us that way by sending us a WhatsApp voice note. And in fact, we got one just this moment. If you're heading out in, what area are we talking about here, Jamie? Ballyfermot, is it? Yeah, Ballyfermot. Ballyfermot. There's a traffic incident, or there's traffic chaos out there. Let's have a listen to this WhatsApp voice note that just came in.
Hey lads, little traffic update for you on the Colmore Road in Ballyfermot. A pole is after falling on a car and it's bedlam going into Ballyfermot. There's no traffic moving.
God, that sounds quite serious. I hope the person or people involved are okay with that. But that's the Ballyfermot area, just to give you a heads up of that, because I know a lot of people who listen to the show will be in their cars driving around. Anyway, you can text or WhatsApp us on 0877 98 98 98 about any of the stuff that we'll be talking about in the next 2 hours. And we have a lot of stuff to get through, as I mentioned a couple of minutes ago. First off, the state largest homeless hostel for single adults is to be opened in Dublin too, just around the corner from where we are actually in 98FM. It's literally a couple of 100 yards away from us. It's the area that's currently occupied by a branch of Starbucks Cafe and a backpackers hostel. It's just on Ainger Street there. Now, the Peter McVerry Trust and the Dublin Region Homeless Executive intend to take over the Avalon House. Now, for those of you who are from Dublin and spend a lot of time in Dublin, you will know where Avalon House is. It's a very famous building that's on the corner of Ainger Street there. It's been there for years, and it's been many, many things over the years, but it is to be turned into a homeless hostel. Now, it will be a 155 bed facility. So we're talking a fairly big facility and will be used to consolidate the 4 existing Peter McVerry services. Now, this story was announced yesterday afternoon to mixed reaction, I have to say. Some people were praising it, saying that, we need a hostel of that size, 155 accommodation hostel. That's fairly good. That will take a lot of people off the streets. However, not everybody is happy about it, including independent councillor Mannix Flynn, who I'll be speaking to in a moment. Now, he said it was unacceptable that Ireland's largest homeless hostel was being opened without any consultation with the business or residential community. And I would like to hear from you. You can call us on 6797 981. Text or WhatsApp us 0877 98 98 98. 0877 98 98 98. We want to hear from you. Do you think that Ainger Street is a suitable location for yet another hostel? Now, we're going to find out in a moment that this isn't the first hostel here. There's already several homeless hostels in that area. But do you think that Ainger Street is a suitable location for this building? And also, do you think it's fair on the locals? And I'm talking about residents and businesses. Have a listen to just one comment that was on our Facebook page earlier on. And it says, there are already 2 hostels on the same street. A third is completely unfair on people who are living there like me. Seriously, 1 per street should be the limit. P.S. I do care about homelessness, but as a resident of the street, I've already have to put up with enough, says that person. I'd love to know what that person has to put up with. If you are from that area, if you live around there, maybe you have a business around there in Ainger Street, I would love to hear from you. And do you agree with the point that girl is making, that homeless hostels should be limited to 1 per area? That you shouldn't be allowed to have more than 1 in an area? I'd love to hear from you. 6797 981 on the phone. Text or WhatsApp us 0877 98 98 98. Now, as I mentioned a couple of minutes ago, someone who was speaking out about this is local independent councillor Mannix Flynn, and he joins us on the line. You're very welcome along to 98FM, Mannix.
Good morning, listeners.
Now, is it good news or bad news? When it was announced yesterday that the Avalon House is to be turned into a 155 sheltered accommodation for homeless people, it was met with mixed reaction. What was your initial reaction when you heard that news?
Well, I've been following this for quite some time, and, already on that area in that street, we have actually 3 hostels. We have the Paul, we have also Peter McVerry, and we also have Salvation Army. I mean, there's a myriad of problems here. What we have here is a situation where it's an ad hoc hub for homeless people coming off the street. It's not purpose-built accommodation So basically it's going to struggle anyway in an already struggling community. What Dublin City Council and the Homeless Executive and the McVerry Trust and all of those who are involved with the good work of helping those people who find themselves in unfortunate circumstances is they need to start to build proper accommodation. Now, I have to say that the Peter McVerry Trust have done amazing work over the past number of years. But it also needs to be said that the Peter McVerry Trust have a number of premises down on Townsend Street and Moss Street, a whole block of flats which have been boarded up for the past 10 years. Dublin City itself and Dublin City Homeless Executive have a vast amount of property. I'll name just a few, for instance. You've got the old Magdalene Laundry down in Sherlock-Dermot Street, which has been lying out for almost 10 years. You have all the property on Parnell Square, which is basically was given over as redress from the Christian Brothers in relation to the abuse issue, just on Parnell Square, which would house probably nearly 300 people if it was done up. And yet here you have a situation where probably millions of euros have changed hands with the former owners of the Avalon House for an ad hoc situation.
Well, let me ask you a question. Okay, we're talking about the Angel Street area, where, as I said, our studios are just around the corner from one of the homeless hostels you mentioned. So at the moment, in say a 2 kilometre square area, there are already, according to you, 3 hostels. Is that correct?
3 hostels, yes.
Which seems a lot for such a small space, but the site at Angel Street, is that not an ideal site because it's a central location? You know what I mean? There's no point in putting it out in the middle of nowhere.
Hold on a second. It's not an ideal site under any circumstances. This is ad hoc. This is what this is. I mean, we don't know who's going in here. We don't know what services are going to be provided. There's a national school and a children's school right beside it. There's an undertaker's right beside it. There's a church right beside it. There's a hard-pressed community right beside it. There's all the businesses trying to struggle right beside it. Now, not too long ago, we had the same attempt by the McVerry Trust and also by Dublin City Council Homeless Executive to do the exact same thing in a building across the road called the Staircase. And the community and the business community took an effective case against the McVerry Trust and Dublin City Council, and they backed down, and that's well documented.
Okay, but without mentioning names, Mannix, have you spoken to business owners in the Angel Street area, and how do they feel about this?
Every single business owner in the area, and they're wholly opposed to this on the grounds that it was secretly done. There was no consultation process. Look,
I'm sorry, what would have happened had they been consulted? Had some of these business owners been consulted and said, okay, we're thinking of turning the Avalon House into a homeless facility for 155 beds, what would the business or some of the business owners have said about that?
Well, a lot of business owners would have already cited what we've already cited here, that there's a number of services on the street, that there's a lot of problems on the street, and that, that they wanted to be, as I say, informed of exactly what's going on. Perhaps we could have reduced the numbers. Perhaps we would have had much more information. I mean, I'm all on for rights of homeless people, and I'm all on for the rights of Dublin City Council and the McVerry Trust. But where is our rights? Where is the residents' rights in the blocks of flats, the business rights? If you were to actually open up an ordinary everyday hostel for 120 people, you'd have to have proper planning permissions. You have to have consultation process. It's natural law.
I know, but Mannix, we're in the middle of, as you're only too aware, we're in the middle of a homeless crisis.
Hang on a second. I'm extremely well aware of what we're in the middle of, but I don't believe in being emotionally blackmailed into a situation that is not right and not proper. I mean, when we cram out your jail with people, there's people are giving out saying you can't cram jail. There's rights issues here. There's human rights issues here. And the homeless issue has always been used to commandeer and cram services into areas that are already saturated. The result is very clear. Alice Leahy, who runs the Alice Leahy Trust, which deals with many, many homeless individuals, has cited this situation. That what you have is that many, many people who are on the streets simply don't want to go into hostels. They don't want to go into crowded places because of the dangers that are in there. So we know all of these dangers, yet nothing's being addressed. My problem with this is, as an elected representative, if the secret manner in this was done, Dublin City Council officials told me at a meeting, a public meeting the other day, that they had consultation process with the local church, with the local people. No such a thing. I said to Dublin City Council officials in the council chamber, in public, that they were liars. And that's what's happening here. What's happening here is that they're simply dumping this situation right on the doorstep.
So you believe this was all done? This was all done in quiet, kept under the radar.
This was all done in secret. The deal that was done in secret, and I'm calling on Dublin City Council's CEO Owen Keegan to make available the financial deal that was done here on this particular bill.
Now, can I just start by saying we did invite both parties onto the show. We told them we were going to be talking to today. We invited them both onto the show. They weren't available to comment.
They're declining to make any comment. Let's be fair here. They're not making any comment. This is public money.
Okay, let me ask you a question, Mannix. You were quoted as saying that opening this hostel on Angel Street would be a disaster for the area. I want you to sum up in a sentence or two, if you can, why would this be a disaster?
Where people bring their children to school. Okay, now already there's issues in the area in terms of addiction, drug taking, drug dealing that is directly associated with the hostels within the area. I have all that footage and I've got that photograph. Most people, you know what I mean, as I say, you know, like try and get about their business and try and kind of deal with that. Now we're going to actually have to be faced with 150 individuals with badly run hostels.
And so you believe that will increase the incidence of antisocial behaviour?
Listen, let's be realistic. Let's be really realistic here. There's absolutely every reason to believe that, because the individuals that I meet on a nightly basis out there in the tents, on the street, and the myriad of issues that they have, including addiction, etc., including mental health issues, all of those particular issues, do you think that a 150-bed hostel in the industry is going to be able to deal with all of those particular issues? Every morning they're going to be thrown back onto the street. There's going to be a whole myriad of problems here. Now, you look at what happens down in Merchants Quay, outside the Merchants Quay. Look what the situation that's happening down there for years and years and years. Look what the community have to face. Look what the local school has to face. And even more importantly, look what Dublin City Council has to face, and they refuse planning permission on that particular site for the medically supervised injecting room. So here they go, on the other hand, and no regard whatsoever for planning process, no regard for natural justice, and no regard for the local community, which is hard pressed for the business. And absolutely, what I have to say, absolute disregard and contempt for the many homeless individuals.
Okay, stay there for a second, please, Mannix. You can text or WhatsApp us, 0877 98 98 98, or send a WhatsApp voice note to that number. A lot of reaction to this. Mannix, I want you to have a listen to this WhatsApp voice note from Peter, who's not happy with you.
Morning, Jeremy. Can't come on today. Great topic, by the way, that came up. I think it's a fantastic achievement for the homeless. Absolutely brilliant. Excuse me. It's great that there's going to be 150 beds made available to the homeless. Getting them off the streets, in out of the cold. We know the winter initiative has kicked in, so I think it's brilliant. And Mannix Flynn, I have to say, mate, you're never ever happy, no matter what goes on in Dublin. You're never happy. This is a great day for the homeless. So take it for what it is. Just because you weren't involved in it and weren't told about it, get off your high horse and support it. That's a brilliant day for the homeless. Excellent. Great stuff.
Okay, thanks very much for your WhatsApp voice note, Peter. What I will say is it's very easy for people like yourself and myself who don't live in this area to say it's great and to applaud what's happening here, because you live a million miles away from there and so do I. So it's not on your doorstep. So this could be a bit of NIMBYism, not in my backyard. But how do you respond to that, Mannix?
Well, I mean, it's not NIMBYism. I mean, this same issue when you actually have these kinds of secret compounds put up is the same issue in direct provision. And again, the local communities in many areas have said, okay, we weren't consulted. I'm not opposed in any way whatsoever to housing the homeless or providing proper facilities. We all want to be part of it. I work on behalf of the people. I'm not on any particular high horse here. I have family members who are homeless. I have family members who are addicted. I have family members on the street. I have friends on the street out there. I want to see them properly housed and properly homed, etc., etc. But I want to see an equilibrium, and I want to see rights for everybody in this. And as I stated, we already have 3 hostels on our street. We already have a myriad of problems.
Yeah, but sorry for cutting across you, Mannix. I work around this area, as you know. I'm here 5 days a week. No, I'm not here. I'm here from 7 in the morning till maybe 4 in the afternoon. I've never seen any incidents of antisocial behaviour. I mean, I find this whole Angel Street area, I find it beautiful. I eat my lunch across the road in Snacks in the City. I eat from regularly in the different cafes along here. I've never seen incidents of antisocial behaviour.
Well, we plenty of incidents local in Garda Síochána, also Dublin City Council, and also the service providers within the particular area. We live here 24/7. We know what goes on the stairwells and on the streets and on the backs of the hostels and down by Peter's Row, and we have all that particular footage. If you look for this situation, you see it, and that's the situation that happens, and it is happening, and it's continuing to happen in the situation. What I'll say here is that I believe that the residents in the area and the business will resist this, and I believe that it will end up in a court case situation. This is, I have to say at the outset, is not about the homeless. This is about the way Peter McVerry Trust and Dublin City Council and the Homeless Executive have gone about.
Okay, under the radar, as you said. Thanks very much for joining us on the show as always, Mannix. That's Independent Councillor Mannix Flynn. As you heard, very strong opinions about what is happening on Angel Street at the moment, and I'd like to hear from you. Call us 679 981, text or WhatsApp us 0877 98 98 98. PJ, you're on 98FM. How are you?
Hello, how are you?
You are praising this news, and you think it's brilliant that we're going to have this building turned into a hostel.
I do, yeah. Like, there's roughly 10,400 people homeless at the moment, and whether they're Irish or foreign, it is a bit of a disgrace, I think. And I've heard of people that were homeless and couldn't get hostels for weeks on end. Very
difficult. Now, has to be said, as Mannix was saying himself, sometimes it's sometimes a lot of homeless people don't want to stay in hostels because of what goes on in a lot of them with drug taking. But yeah, I would agree with you. It can be quite difficult for someone. I'm sure there's someone. Well, there is someone. There's a guy that begs outside the car park around the corner from us every day, and I regularly talk to him, and he finds it difficult to get into a hostel every evening. It's freezing cold today. It's going to be bitterly cold tonight. But you don't live in this area, PJ.
No, myself, I live in Blanchardstown.
Yeah, so
I do regularly visit Angel Street because of my work. I do have jobs out there, and I can see the understanding of that it will be leading to antisocial behaviour, because there is a percentage of homeless people that obviously are on drugs and stuff like that. But still, you have to look at the bigger picture, don't you?
Thanks very much for your call, PJ. Owen, I'll come to you straight after the break, but you believe they need all the help they can get. This is great news. Okay, we'll come back to him in a sec when he's paying attention. 6797 981. Text or WhatsApp us 0877 98 98 98, or send a WhatsApp voice note to that same number like Darren did. He thinks it's a great idea. Hey, Darren.
Jeremy.
Yes, how are you?
I think it's great that there's another homeless shelter open. I mean, if it takes more homeless people off the streets, so be it. I mean, I worked with the homeless for a while, and people have this thing that homeless people are drug addicts, alcoholics. A lot of these homeless people have just fell on bad terms. So I think if it takes more homeless people off the streets, well and good, especially with the weather that we're starting to get now and it's coming into the winter time. So the more homeless shelters that are open, the better. Doesn't matter how many there is in one area, the more that's open, the better.
Again, I hear you, Darren, and I would say the same to you that I said to that other guy, PJ. It's not on your doorstep. And it's very easy for us all to say that when we don't have a business there. And the question I would ask you, Darren, is if you had a little cafe or coffee shop on the same road as that, would you be singing that same tune? I don't think so.
The sound of the city, from Sallynoggin to Swords. Dublin Talks. 98FM's Dublin Talks.
Jeremy Dixon here with you on to midday today. Oh my God, there's a huge reaction to this. And a lot of people are very angry with Mannix. And to those of you who are ringing and texting who are angry with the comments he was making, here's the thing. He's an independent councillor for that area. Of concerns about this, which a lot of them possibly have. That is his job to address those concerns, and that's what he's doing. I'm just looking at, during the break, I was looking at Google Maps here and I was travelling virtually up Angel Street to have a look at it, and it is a beautiful street. It's transformed over the last few years. Since when I was a kid, certainly, and there's lots of lovely businesses on it. There's cafes, there's pubs. I didn't realise until I looked at the photograph here how many people are actually living on Angel Street. There's apartment blocks on both sides, so you have a lot of residents living there. And then slap bang in the middle of that, you have the Avalon building, which, of course, is going to be turned into that homeless shelter for 155 adults. And it is slap bang in the middle of the street. And what Mannix is saying is that a lot of business owners, he can't speak for all of them, but a lot of them are not happy about this. I would like to hear from you. Call us 679 981. Text or WhatsApp us 0877 98 98 98. Christy, you're on 98 FM. How are you?
Hey, well, you'd have to say initially, you can trust, Mike Verdi trust. I mean, they have a fantastic...
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. They do brilliant work. But that's not to say that people can't have a problem with this opening here.
Well, of course, people can have concerns, and you can understand Mr. Flynn's concerns. As you said, he's representing his constituency. But what we're in the middle of here is the run-in to a general election early in the spring, And you remember about 2 years ago, I was talking to you, there was 29 people found dead on Irish city streets over a 13-month period.
Yeah, it's horrible. It's horrible. It really is what's happening.
Yeah, I mean, 9 people were killed cycling last year, and they moved heaven and earth to bring in new legislation. But this housing thing, I don't know what the problem is with policy,
Okay, we obviously, Christy, we all agree that we need to get these people off the streets, and certainly in the next couple of months it's going to be quite a cold winter. This morning, arriving into work at 7 o'clock this morning, the cold, and I can't imagine how someone could survive sleeping. And I pass people outside, on South Anne Street and Grafton Street every morning, and I don't know how they survive in the cold out there. So, on a positive note, this will get 155 people off the streets at night, providing they want to stay there. Yep. But the other side of things is we have to think of the location of it.
Yeah, I think the history of that building there, I think Charlie Haughey had the bank in it in the mid-'80s, when interest rates on your mortgage went up to about 17%.
Oh, really?
So it's a better use of the building, I'd say, now for that. But because it's an urban, location, and I love Ainger Street, it's a fantastic street.
It is a lovely street.
Great pubs and restaurants, and look, it's the dynamic of Dublin, and Dublin always had, kind of a colourful, population, and we really have to look after our own, so I don't think Mr. Flynn is justified in, it is a bit of NIMBYism, and it's very central and stuff like that.
Well, let me ask you a question, Christy. Would you be happy with this facility opening beside on your road? I don't know where you live, but wherever you live.
Well, I live in a highfalutin suburb. I'd say if they tried it where I live, there'd be war and worse than Mr. Flynn's objections, But myself personally, considering the sacrifice, and remember, all those people are just the tip of the iceberg in the housing situation. Like they're hanging onto life by the bootstraps out the window.
Absolutely, yeah, I agree. Stay there for a second, please, Christy, because I have a lot of calls I want to get through. Let me go to Owen. Owen, how are you?
How are you, Jeremy?
You see this?
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. I can hear you perfectly. You see this as a positive thing, is it?
Yeah, because I think if I could get them to learn IT skills, if that was in any way possible, if I could get someone a centre or something, some kind of premises, you know what I mean, to get to learn IT skills with the computers and stuff like that.
Sorry, I don't get the point you're making. What has IT skills got to do with this?
No, I mean, it's a way of helping the homeless. Actually, it's rather than giving them a hand out, giving them a hand up. You know what I mean? Like, if those centres have a little room where they have the computers there, and you can teach some IT skills.
I don't know what will be in. I mean, it's kind of up in the air at the moment what it will be. I would imagine it will be just somewhere for them to put their head down at night, because that's the first stop of getting these people off the streets.
Yeah, that'd be great. But I mean, I'm just saying, just give them something extra as well. To give them a bit of dignity and self-respect.
No, I hear you. Thank you very much, Owen. Let me, I'll come to you, Dan, in a second. Let me play some WhatsApp voice notes. A lot of you are very annoyed about this. And the first WhatsApp voice note from Keith. Let me hear what Keith has to say.
Hi, guys. Just on the homeless issue there with the new hostel, I think it's a marvellous idea. I do live close to the area, and I work in the area as well. Coming from an ex-homeless person, yeah, it's great, and people just want to be quiet and, congratulate the people that are running it on a job well done, and more needs to be done. It's only a start, but more does need to be done. And, yeah, the likes of Mannix Flynn and all that just need to get down off the high horse and stop moaning and get on with the programme that they're voting to do.
Okay, Mannix just needs to basically stop moaning about it. Dan, how are you?
Hiya. Not too bad, Jeremy. How are you? Nice. Congratulations on the second baby.
Thank you very much. Now, what would you like to say about this, Dan?
Basically, I just heard that woman's, when you started the show, I heard the woman's voice message. And I'd just like to say, I feel really, really sorry for her. Like, the poor woman, having to have a homeless hostel within her area near her home where she has a nice, lovely locked door and a nice fire and heat. And then
I take it you're being sarcastic. I take it you're being sarcastic about it. Okay, you've been in and out of hostels since the age of...
for 14, yeah. And
what age are you now, Dan?
I'm 24.
You're 24, so, a decade of in and out of hostels.
Yeah, and, I've seen nothing and nothing, but, I'm not going to lie, there are a lot of hostels that are drug used, but there are a lot of ones that are dry in terms of the fact that they don't allow any drugs. That you go in and what they do is they take all your stuff off you and they put it into a locker. And you don't get it back till the next morning.
Which seems that seems fair. Has there been?
Yeah, very fair.
Does it cause a lot of antisocial behaviour outside them when people are coming and going?
No.
Okay, her message that you're referring to that she posts on Facebook is there are already 2 hostels on the same street. A third is completely unfair on people living there like me. Seriously, 1 per street should be the limit. P.S. I care about the homelessness, but as a resident on the street, I put up with enough. Now, we don't know what this woman has to put up with, Dan.
Yeah, I know, that's very true. But my point is that when you're in the hostels, okay, you're in at 8 o'clock at night, yeah? You're not allowed in until 8. Then you're kicked out at 8 and you're not allowed back till 8 and you're escorted away from the hostel. So you're brought away from that.
Yeah, so it's not as if you're hanging around outside. There's not going to be 150 people hanging around outside.
It is actually going back to that area. That is by their choice and by their own doing. It's not the hostel or the people running the hostel that have let them just walk out the door and just wander around and just hang around outside the hostel for the whole day.
So sorry, what would happen when you leave the hostel? What time would you have to leave the hostel at in the mornings?
You'd have to leave at 8 o'clock on the dot.
Okay, so you're told get out at 8 o'clock.
Yeah, you're woken up at 7 o'clock in the morning. You have to get your all your bedding and your sheets and all that. You have to wrap it up and put it into this big basket where it goes to get washed. And then you go in, you get a cup of tea or a cup of coffee or whatever, and then you're told, right, get yourselves ready, here's all your stuff back, basically set off.
Are you still in this situation?
No, luckily I've managed to get myself out of that situation, and I'm actually helping. I'm with the Inner City Helping Homeless.
Oh, well, that's brilliant. Well, Anthony Flynn and that group, they do great work. Absolutely,
yeah, they're amazing. So do
you think the businesses, and I'm not saying all the businesses, but some of the businesses in the area and the residents, have they anything to worry about?
No, they don't have anything to worry about. Now, I know because of the large capacity that it's 155 beds that they're thinking, oh God, we're going to have like 155 drug addicts walking around the street. But that's the thing. Not every homeless person is a drug addict.
Yeah, and I think that's important to remember that there is addiction problems among the homelessness, but not every single person. Dan, come here. I wish you the best. Dan, I wish you the best, and I'm glad to see that you've fallen on your feet now and you're doing great work with Inner City.
Thanks very much.
Have a great Christmas. It must be great to know that you're off the streets for Christmas as well.
Thanks. Cheers, Jeremy.
Thanks, Dan. There's an insight into what it's like living in a hostel. So basically, you're woken up at 7 o'clock in the morning. You're told you have to be out by 8 o'clock. So are you going to be hanging around the Avalon building after you're kicked out at 8 o'clock? Probably not. You'll go somewhere else. So I don't know. Jay, last call on this. You've worked in homeless hostels. Now, don't name them at the moment, but what can you tell me about them?
Well, the ones I worked in weren't too bad now. They were all, there was 36 residents, and they all had their own room. There was single rooms, and they were 24 hours. You could come and go anytime they pleased.
And outside, in the vicinity of them, was there antisocial behaviour?
The odd time. Not a lot now, but the odd time.
So
I had to say, this was over 15 years ago. It was different. It was a different time then, and there wasn't as many homeless, obviously.
So have these people in this area anything to worry about?
Yeah, 150.
What should they be worried about?
5 times the size of the hospitals I worked in.
So with 155 beds, and let's be straight here, not all of these people who are going to be sleeping here are going to have addiction issues.
No. Even in the hospitals I worked in didn't all have addiction. Some of them had alcohol problems, some had drug problems, some had psychiatric problems. So, you know what I mean? You had a mix of everything.
So what should they be worried about? What concerns should they have?
Well, when they say that they don't be hanging around, they do be hanging around. They do be coming up, chancing their arm, trying to get in a bit earlier. And you don't blame them. It's freezing cold out. You know what I mean? I'd want to get in early if I could as well. But you will have people, and we had, when there was 36, you could have had maybe 5 or 10 people coming up trying to get in and out. And some of them, because one of the hospitals we had was a night shelter, didn't let people back in until 5 o'clock, not 8 o'clock. You know?
Okay. So you do have people hanging around. Well,
we did, and that was with a 36 bed hospital. Now, if you have 155, you could have maybe 30 people hanging around outside. Do you know what I mean?
Well, we wait and see. It's due to open. Thanks very much for your call, Jay. It's due to open early next year. We'll wait and see what does happen. This is something we will be coming back to, definitely. It's definitely an issue that is going to be in the news a lot over the next couple of months. But you heard from Mannix Flynn. He said it there himself. He believes, he claims that this was all done fairly under the carpet and that the local businesses and residents were not consulted about this, and they're quite aggrieved by this. But we'll wait to see what happens. Thank you very much for all your calls, comments and texts. It's 98FM's Dublin Talks.
98FM's Dublin Talks. Call 6797 981.
It is 98FM's Dublin Talks with myself, Jeremy Dixon, here for what day is it? It's a Friday. Can you believe it's the end of the week already? And because it's a Friday and it's this time, it can mean only one thing. It's time for Good News Friday on 98FM's Dublin Talks. We do this every single week at this time on a Friday, where we get you to text or WhatsApp us, or even better still, call us, because we like to actually talk to you with your good news. It can be anything that's happening in your life at the moment. It can be something, very trivial, like you could be going away for a nice weekend. It could be something great, that you had an operation and it all went well. It could be your daughter, your son's birthday. It could be your wedding anniversary. You could be getting married. It could be anything. We all have a lot of us have good news at the moment, and this is the part of the show where we get you to share your good news with us. So here's how you do it. You call us, pick up the phone. Remember that thing? 6797 981 is our telephone number. You can text or WhatsApp us 0877 98 98 98, or send a WhatsApp voice note to that same number 0877 98 98 98. It's Good News Friday on 98FM's Dublin Talks. We'll take your calls right now.
The sound of the city, from Stoneybatter to Stepaside. Dublin Talks. 98FM's Dublin Talks.
It's 98FM's Dublin Talks with Jeremy Dixon here for a Friday, and we love this time of the week because this is where you get to share your good news with us. It's Good News Friday exclusive to 98FM's Dublin Talks. It's very simple how this works. You contact us with the good news that is happening in your life. You can call us on 6797 981. Text or WhatsApp us 0877 98 98 98, or you can send a WhatsApp voice note to that number. You could win yourself cinema tickets as well if you happen to be on the air telling us your good news. That's how it works. Whatever good news you have, share it with us. Now, we start off Good News Friday this week, as we do every week, with my young fella, who I believe, I've just been told he's nipped out of his class in school with some good news, because he always has good news. Luke, good morning.
Morning, guys. It's Happy Friday.
It is.
So let's get down to business. As you can hear, guys, I'm still a little bit sick, but I'm struggling on. I'm feeling a lot better than at start of the week. But please excuse my voice. I'm getting a treat tonight. I'm going to the Tree Arena. It's a big surprise. My mummy and daddy won't tell me what I'm going to see, but I know it's going to be something really special. special. I can't wait. Tell me your good news, guys. Oh, and one more thing. Welcome back, Katie.
Oh, yes.
We missed you.
Katie's back.
So everybody, call Katie now. Call us on 6797-981.
Thanks, Luke. That's my young fella, Luke. Sorry, Luke. She is back, but she's only back and she's on a day off. So it's actually Jamie you'll be talking to. So call Jamie on 6797-981. That's Luke's good news. He's going to the 3 Arena tonight. I'm sure a lot of you are going that have young kids. He doesn't know what he's going to. It's a surprise for him. But yeah. We'll have a good night. Apart from, I hate when you go to those things, those events for kids, and every single kid has one of those shaky things with lights on them that cost you 15 quid to buy. You know those swords that all the kids have with the lights flashing on them? Cost me a bloody fortune, it does. Anyway, I'm not moaning. We're going to have a great night at the 3 Arena. Jer, how are you?
Not too bad, my friend.
Now, the thing I love about Good News Friday is it can come in all shapes and sizes, and we get some really strange calls and some great news. What is your good news?
I finally got up in front of a crowd and sang a song and performed the guitar last night.
And are you a singer, or?
Well, I wouldn't call myself a singer now, but I can play a tune.
And you've never ever sang before, have you not?
Well, myself and probably one other person in the room, yeah.
It's amazing the amount of people that are nervous about singing or doing anything in public. And what pub are you in?
I don't want to say. It was in Tala.
You what?
It was in Tala. I don't want to say the pub.
Oh, you don't want to say the pub? Okay. So you got...
You start getting negative reviews if I say the pub.
I'm sure you were great. So what song did you sing?
I sang a song I wrote myself.
Oh, okay. No, I won't ask you to sing it now on the radio.
No, you better not.
So you got up in front of a full crowd in a busy pub in Tala and sang a song. And how did it go down? Did they cheer or...
Well, believe it or not, I messed up at first. I was too nervous, and rather than standing up, I just reverted back to a song that I knew in my sleep. And I sat there and I played it and got through it, and yeah, I got a clap at the end. So,
well done. That's great. It's great to hear, Ger. And you know what? You've done it now, so you'll be able to do it again.
Well, that's the main thing, and that's why I didn't want to walk away after I messed up the first time, so I just kept going. So I will go again.
Yeah, like riding a bike, Ger. If you fall off, you get back on.
That's it, my friend, that's it.
Cheers, thanks very much. That's Ger's good news. He sang for the first time ever in front of a crowd at a busy pub. And for those of you who are scoffing that is a very, very hard thing to do. It's okay to do it in a pub if it's karaoke and you're locked drunk. Everybody can do that when they're drunk. But to get up sober in front of a crowd, to do anything in front of a crowd. I remember giving my wedding speech on my wedding day. I don't get nervous about talking in front of a crowd, obviously because of the job I do, but I was absolutely petrified the day I had to give my wedding speech on the day I got married. I was also petrified standing at the top of the altar on my wedding day as well. It's not easy doing these things in a public place. We'd love to hear your good news. Call us 6797-981. Text or WhatsApp 0877 98 98 98. Send a WhatsApp voice note to that number as well, like Dylan did.
My good news is Sunday I turned 24. Don't know where the years have gone. Happy birthday to me anyway. Any chance of movie passes?
There might be, Dylan. Don't be cheeky about it though. Here's another WhatsApp voice note.
Good news, guys. I had my nephew starting on my job on Monday. After 6 months, I get €500. After 6 months, he gets €500. Happy days.
How does that work out? Let me have a listen to this again.
Good news, guys. I had my nephew starting on my job on Monday. After 6 months, I get €500. After 6 months, he gets €500. Happy days.
Okay, it's obviously something about probation or stuff that you get that money after a certain amount of time. That's brilliant anyway. That's a nice amount of money. I don't know what the at the end of it was all about though. Terry, how are you?
I'm good, and yourself?
Grand. Happy Friday to you.
And to you. I'm on a day off work as well, so that makes it even better.
Okay, well that's the first thing. That's good news. Why'd you take a day off? Have you something happening today or?
No, just took a day off.
And is that your good news that you have a day off?
No, my good news is my daughter and her special needs ballet class are going to be in a video from Deluche and Tolu Mackay, which is being released today.
Oh, wow.
The song is called The Greatest Gift.
And this is a song that's obviously it's been released for Christmas, is it?
No, I think it's just his next single to be released. So.
Okay, and sorry, they recorded a video, did they?
They recorded it a couple of weeks ago, and it gets released later on today.
Oh my God, that's brilliant! And how many are in that class?
There was about 13 of them there on the day.
Oh, that's brilliant. There's nothing like when you're a parent and your children do something like that. The pride you feel, isn't it unbelievable?
Oh, it was great. She's sitting in the van beside me.
Sorry, who's that sitting in the van?
That's Rebecca. We're on the way to the doctor with her.
Oh, okay, tell Rebecca I said hello.
Are you saying hello?
Hello.
Hi, Rebecca. Does she know she's going? Is it her going to the doctor or you going to the doctor, Terry?
Oh, it's her going to the doctor. She's off school because she's sick, so.
Oh, okay. Well, enjoy, even though she's sick, enjoy your Friday off. It's a great day to have off, isn't it?
It is, yes.
I hate working Fridays. Thanks very much, Terry, and the best of luck to you and Rebecca. I really do hate working Fridays. I wish Fridays didn't exist. Oh, this is interesting. It says on my screen beside you... Oh, Derek. Hello, Derek.
Hello, sir. How are you?
How are you, sir? Can you turn off the radio, please, sir?
I'm on hands-free. Sorry, I'm driving.
Okay, you've possibly the best good news we've ever heard on 98FM. Is that true?
Yeah, man. So after 37 years, I found my birth mother, my half-brother, and my half-sister, thanks to the DNA, Ancestry DNA present that was bought to me. I currently were looking for them my whole life. Under circumstances, I couldn't find them. So, yeah, I've been video chatting, I've been texting, and everything is sweet, man.
Okay, but Jamie was right when he wrote that up. That is one of the best news.
That's right.
That's
right.
That is
quite emotional, but it is what it is.
That is unbelievable, Derek. And you know what? You know what? I've so many questions to ask you. Yeah, there's so much. No. I know now isn't the time because you're on speakerphone and stuff like that. Oh, we would love, myself and Adrian would love to ring you back on Monday and have a proper chat with you about what that's like.
No problem.
So you've been reunited with your birth mother after how many years?
37.
30. That must be an emotional roller coaster for you, is it?
You have no idea. No idea.
I can only... Listen, Derek, have a great weekend. You sound like you're on cloud 9. We will ring you on Monday morning when we get that full story from you, okay? Thanks very much, Derek. That is absolutely brilliant news. That has me gleaming, I have to say. Amazing. It's something that a lot of us can't even relate to because, we know who our birth mother is. We probably grew up in the same house. But there you have Derek there who's just found her. After 36 years. We'll talk to him on Monday and find out that full story. I'm dying to find out how that happened. One final call on Good News Friday is Mary. Mary, how are you?
Morning, Jeremy. How are you?
How are things? What have you got for me?
Grand. Well, I have 6 adult children, and my eldest has married and moved out a few years, and I just had 2 more of my adult children move into their own places this week. So now I only have 2 left at home with me. I am over the moon.
How many kids have you got altogether?
I've 6, and they're all adults.
Okay, and some of them took a bit longer than normal to move out of the house?
Absolutely. So I'm over the moon, and I just hope I don't die of boredom now.
And listen, it must... But having 6 kids, we've 2 at the moment. We've a baby at the moment, and...
Yeah, congratulations.
As we discussed a couple of weeks ago on the show, I've decided enough is enough. I don't know how someone could bring up 6 children. I have to say, Mary, because our little baby is only a month old. She's a month old actually today. Happy birthday, Alexandria. Yeah. I have aged terribly in the last month because of this baby.
You'll be fine. At one stage I had 3 under 2 and you just managed. Now they were a nightmare when they were in the 2s and 3s together, but you're grand, you just keep going.
Well listen, that's great news. So we've 2 more to get rid of, is that right?
And hopefully, like myself, Jeremy, by the time they're in their 30s they'll be gone from home.
Thanks very much, Mary. Have a great weekend.
Okay, you too. Bye.
Cheers, bye-bye. That's great news. Now, if you're the other 2 children, Mary's 2 children, you're still living at home, and get up off your arse and get out of the house. We'll wrap up with Philip.
We're going to the doctor.
Good morning, Jeremy.
Good morning, Philip.
Philip here, on the way in to pick up my new baby daughter, Soif.
Philip, absolutely great news. Beautiful name as well. That was on my list. For our daughter, Sai was one of the names that I wanted, but I was overruled by my wife. But that is a beautiful name, and it's something I did this exact time, Philip, 4 weeks ago on Friday morning, where I picked up Alexandria from the Coombe, and there's nothing like it. Bringing them in the little maxi cozy seat, bringing them home to the house, and then 4 weeks of shit and nappies and night feeds. And I'm only joking. You'll have a great time. It's a positive time. Thank you very much for all your good news. That was great fun. I love listening to your good news. After the break, we'll be hearing from an ex-prisoner. I don't know if you read this story in the news today about the state being sued successfully because an ex-prisoner had to slop out. We'll be hearing from an ex-prisoner straight after the break who has a very strong opinion about this, but it's not what you'd expect. Don't go away. You're listening to 98FM's Dublin Talks with Jeremy Dixon. Coming up in the second hour of the show. In a moment, we'll be talking to an ex-prisoner about the slopping out story in the news today, where an ex-prisoner successfully sued the state for having to slop out. Also, we'll be talking about elderly drivers, and we have our quiz, Say What You See, coming up in the next hour. But first, let's cross over to Trish with the top stories.
Thanks, Jeremy. Gardaí investigating a shooting in Lucan last September have rearrested 3 men. 2 of the men are in their 20s, while the third is in his 30s and are being questioned at separate Garda stations. The shooting took place on September 4th at Griffeen Glen Park, when a number of shots were fired at a man in a car. Action on stopping smaller venues and artist spaces from being squeezed out of Dublin isn't happening fast enough. That's according to the Green Party, which is holding a meeting in Rathmines today on the city's cultural spaces. It follows the loss of a number of venues in recent years. The Restaurants Association of Ireland says Dublin Town got it wrong and should remove the Grafton Quarter Christmas lights. The new sign, which replaced the old Nolig Chonadit message, has been ridiculed on Twitter. And young people say they're frustrated over the government not treating climate change as a crisis. The Dáil is hosting its first ever youth assembly today, focusing on climate. And you're up to date on 98.
98FM's Dublin Talks. Call 6797 981.
It's 98FM's Dublin Talks into hour 2 of the show. I hope you're enjoying the show. It's Jeremy Dixon here with you until midday today. Just before the break, we were doing our weekly feature Good News Friday, and I got a lot of reaction to Derek's call, even though we only got to speak to him for about 90 seconds because, well, we don't have much time during that part of the show to delve into things too much, and he was on hands-free kit. But Derek had just met his birth mother, and I want to read out this message that just came in from Niamh. That guy on Good News Friday made me so happy. Tomorrow I'm meeting my daughter that I gave up for adoption 23 years ago, but was too scared to text in about it. I'm thrilled and so happy at the same time. So best of luck to him too, and I hope it works out well for him as for me, says Niamh. Now, I know Niamh quite well, not personally, but Niamh has been listening to the show since we existed. She's come along on a long journey with us, and I never knew this about you, Niamh, and I'm thrilled, I'm overjoyed for you. I wish you the best of luck tomorrow. I can't imagine what feelings you're going through at the moment. Nervousness, excitement, all those different emotions going on in your head at the moment. Meeting your daughter after 23 years of giving her up for adoption. I really hope, and I mean this sincerely, Niamh, I really hope that it goes well for you. I can't imagine what you're feeling at the moment, or what your daughter is feeling at the moment as well. And you have to imagine whatever feelings you have, she has as well. And you know what? We might, obviously, if it's completely up to you, Niamh, but if you'd like to talk to us on Monday as well about your experience, we'd certainly love to hear how it goes. And I mean it sincerely. I really hope it goes well for you, because that is a big, big move. I have friends who've been in that situation as well, on both sides of it, that have met their birth mother or father after so many years. And on the other side as well, people who were given up for adoption, meeting their parents. And I really wish you the best of luck. And we will go back to that on Monday, I promise. We'll talk to Derek about meeting his birth mother after 36 years. And we'll also hopefully talk to Niamh, who is meeting her daughter after 23 years tomorrow, just to find out. I'm fascinated by these stories about families reuniting and how these things happen. Anyway, thank you very much. That really has put a smile on my face.
98FM's Dublin Talks. Call 6797 981.
Now, here's something for you. In a judgment yesterday, the courts awarded €7,500 in compensation to a man by the name of Gary Simpson. Because he was exposed to the distressing and humiliating conditions in Mountjoy prison in Dublin. And of course, we're referring to the fact that Gary Simpson, as a prisoner in Mountjoy prison, had to slop out. Now, what is slopping out, I hear you ask? Well, we will find out in a moment, as we are about to talk to a former prisoner from Mountjoy who will give us a lowdown on what slopping out is all about. He had to do it himself. But just to give you a basic about what it is, some of the toilets in Mountjoy prison several years ago didn't have... some of the cells didn't have toilets in them. So you would have a bedpan in the cell, and you can work out for yourself what slopping out meant. Well, anyway, yesterday the Supreme Court ruled that Gary Simpson having to use a book as a toilet to empty each morning for almost 8 years amounted to a violation of his constitutional rights. So he took a case against the state, and he was awarded €7,500. And what's being said now is that this is opening the floodgates to many more cases that any ex-prisoner who happened to be in one of our several prisons and had to slop out could potentially sue the state for damages. Now, slopping out was condemned in 1993 by the European Committee on the Prevention of Torture. And from what I believe, there are very few prisoners now left in prison who do have to slop out. I think the figures I came across show 58 prisoners in the state that still have to slop out. 38 of those are in Portlaoise, 20 in Limerick's men's prison. I think it's completely gone from Mountjoy prison. But I decided to talk to an ex-prisoner to find out just how degrading and how demeaning it is to have to slop out. This will be a fascinating chat, and it's one which a lot of us can't relate to, because most of us have never seen the inside of a prison, have never been in a prison cell, have never had to slop out. So I decided we'd get an ex-prisoner on. Now, this man, he's we've spoken to him before on the show. I've had the pleasure of meeting him on several occasions. He's an author of several books. He's a public speaker, a former prisoner of Mountjoy prison. His name is Gary Cunningham, and he joins us on the line now. Gary, first of all, thanks very much for talking to us on the show. I know you're up to your eyes.
I'm okay, thank you. Thanks very much.
Now, I'm sure you saw the story today in the news. The state could be hit with a €12 million bill after an ex-Mountjoy inmate was awarded €7,500 in damages. And now, of course, this was because he was forced to slop out while spending time in prison. What did you make of that when you read that headline?
I mean, I'm probably not going to go down too well with this, but I have a serious problem with that. I really do. Now, I've... like many that have maybe spent time, I've looked into his particular circumstances, and they were a lot different than mine, a lot different from anyone who I actually was incarcerated with. So he was on 23-hour lockdown, that man. That's for his own personal reasons. That's none of my business, and I'm not in a place to comment on that. But there's only certain reasons why he'd be on 23-hour lockdown, which meant, I mean, I do know of one case of the fella who didn't get to, slop out for a number of days.
And can you explain to our listeners, who a lot of them wouldn't have spent time inside prison, what exactly is slopping out? How would you describe it?
So it's doing your business into a bag or a bucket in an old Georgian cell in Mountjoy, and it's brought to a sluice room, basically like a sluice area every morning. There's a queue of whatever amount of men are on the landings, and usually if you're doubled up or tripled up, somebody is tasked with the slopping out job. It was actually my job when I got in there first, with the particular guy I was doubled up with. Listen, Jeremy, it's absolutely vile, absolutely disgusting.
I'm sorry, did you have to do it yourself while you were locked up?
I did, yeah, I did, yeah.
And how did you find it? It was obviously degrading.
I got on with it. Jeremy, I'm not being smart. I'm trying not to be smart. I'm trying not to be arrogant or rude or anything like that. If I didn't want to slap out, if I didn't want to be a part of that, I shouldn't have broke the law. And I just find it. Now, I do have to state, his case is a little bit different. If you really look into what they did with him, he was on 23-hour lockdown. And what he's trying to say is that his human rights were whatever, and there's slight argument maybe that, because he was under 23-hour lockdown.
Okay, so should it be taken on a case-by-case basis? We're reading here that there's around 1,600 other cases in the system. You could be one of those. I mean, if a solicitor approached me and said to me, Gary, I think we're going to throw in a claim against the Irish Prison Service of the state for slopping out, I'd laugh at them. Really, you wouldn't take a case against members?
I think it's ridiculous. I'm sorry. I don't wish any bad will on anybody, and I wish that man all the best. And if he had to do, that's as I was talking to a friend of mine last night about this very topic, who I was in time with, and there's a saying in prison, and he did really bad jail. He did hard jail. He did the jail that you'd see on American television. He was in that cell for 23 hours a day, and I can kind of. I'm not really. I'm against this whole suing for slopping out, but I can see what happened with him. His human rights were, by the letter of the law, were completely and utterly stood all over.
Did you not feel that your human rights?
Not at all. No. I just feel personally. I think my argument has always been, Jeremy, since I came out of prison. I haven't played a violin. I haven't stood there and said, "Oh, poor me. I didn't get on with this person, or this went wrong in my life, and I messed up." I messed up. I went in there. And for me, I'm a weirdo and I know that. Prison saved my life. But as regards to suing, because you had to do something, the only reason you had to do it is because you broke the law in the first place. That's just my argument. And that's just, I'm not saying that's, I don't knock any man, any man that's ever, that wants to go and do this. That's their own choice. Personally, I wouldn't touch it with a barge pole. If I was approached and said, Gary, listen, there's $2,000 there for you. We're after looking at this. Anyone that served time between 2012 and blah, 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 they're entitled to €2,000. I say, well, put the money into something else. So I don't want it. It's ridiculous.
And this is coming from someone who had to slop out on a daily basis. And I
was quite lucky. I got in there towards the end. Anyone who's read my book knows that I was one of the first prisoners to get C-wing. This is really funny. We all worked in the kitchen. We used to have C-wing dangled in front of our faces like the Narnia carrot. And eventually we got moved around to it because C-Wing, drum roll please, had a toilet in the cell. And I wouldn't mind, when we got around, the very first day we got around, if you can imagine a bunch of men, all you could hear on C1, the first landing, was toilets flushing. And then
because it was such... Yeah,
it was like Funderland, except you didn't have to take queue, and you'd flush and you'd hear...
But is that not something that all prisoners should take for granted?
Listen, it should be. Mountjoy has addressed it. The Irish Prison Service have addressed it. It should be. It's not right. It's horrible. But my argument, look, if this is in a hospital, if this is in a hotel, you don't understand. The argument is always, you broke the law. They had a crap system. It's vile. I mean, one thing I do say in my first book, when you walk into Mountjoy, I don't know what it's like now. Back then, 2012, when I walked in, the very first thing that hits you is the smell. It's vile.
Really, it's that bad?
Absolutely vile. So bad. So bad.
But the way you feel about it is you committed the crime, you did the time, you were prepared to put up with slopping out yourself. It was a vile...
I knew it was there. I'd read a book on Mountjoy before I went in. I knew there was no sanitation. So listen, the Irish Prison Service should be really ashamed of themselves. It's an absolute disgrace that it took till 2013 to have the first cell in their prison. Which is in the capital city of Ireland, to have a sanitation and cell. They should be ashamed of themselves. But sue them. It's not money that will ever come any good. At the end of the day, it was vile. It's a story I could tell. To my grandkids in the future. I remember I used to have to poo and pee in the bag.
It's a lovely bedtime story.
Yeah, a lovely bedtime story. But at the end of the day, I certainly don't want to make money off it. It's my fault I was in there, and that's just my opinion. That's
fair enough.
That's not to say any other man who wants to pursue this, because everybody's different, and it could have detrimentally affected people as well. But personally, with me,
but it hasn't psychologically damaged you that you had to stop
Absolutely
it.
Absolutely not.
Gary Cunningham,
I psychologically damaged me. I didn't need a chamber pot to do that. So.
Thanks very much for talking. It's a pleasure as always, Gary.
Thanks so much. Cheers. Thanks, Jamie. Take care. Bye-bye.
Now, it remains to be seen what happens as a result of this case that this particular gentleman, Gary Simpson, took against the state, €7,500. A lot of reaction to this. I have no sympathy for prisoners. You lose your rights when you break the law. Tough on them, says this person. I can't believe that somebody got compensation out of this. I thought prison was supposed to be where you were punished says Aideen. This isn't punishment. Yeah, I agree with you, Aideen. Prison is supposed to be somewhere where you get punished, but having to, empty your own toilet pan is kind of like it's medieval stuff, And I know Gary was saying himself, it was just part of everyday life in prison, and maybe it was for Gary, but what this court case has done is it's set a precedent now where, other prisoners, anybody who was locked up in prison in the last, 15 years, can probably now take a case. And I was as surprised as you were to hear Gary saying that if a solicitor approached him and said, do you want to take a case? He wouldn't. He doesn't want the money from it. It's just something that he put up with. He committed the crime, he did the time, and he's over it now, and he's moving on with his life. So there you go. Other prisoners might feel differently depending on how they were inside prison. But Gary is one of these people that he believes prison is behind him now. I can't believe that this is still happening in prison, says this texter. It doesn't happen anymore. As I mentioned a few minutes ago, I think it's maybe 50 odd prisoners that still have to slop out. And I would imagine in the next couple of years it'll be completely phased out altogether.
This is 98FM's Dublin Talks. Call 6797 981.
After the break, this is something that a lot of people are going to be very, very annoyed about, because we're going to be hearing from a listener by the name of Joseph. And Joseph has a problem. And his problem is with drivers in their 70s. He lives in a housing estate in Beaumont, in the north side of Dublin. And he says that it's very populated with people in their 70s, and a lot of them drive cars, and their driving is erratic, to say the least. We'll be hearing Joe's full story after the break, but here's what Joe wants. Joe wants people over the age of 70 to have to resit the test every 2 years. I want to do a very quick text poll and find out how you feel about this, okay? I want to hear how you feel about this. And it's a very simple question. Do you believe that motorists over the age of 70, and there's lots of them out there, okay, it could be your grandmother, your grandfather, could be your father, your mother. If they are in their 70s, contact me. Call us 6797 981. Let us know, are they good at driving? Are they safe drivers? But here's what I want to ask you in our text poll. Do you believe that every motorist on Irish roads over the age of 70 should have to resit the test every 2 years? Text yes or no to 0877 98 98 98. Yes or no to 0877 98 98 98. We take your calls on that, and I'll read out Joe's story straight after the break. Don't go away.
The sound of the city, from Drumcondra to Dorky. Dublin Talks. 98FM's Dublin Talks.
Jeremy Dixon here with you until midday today. Now let's get our teeth into this one. Joe has been in contact with us on Facebook, and he says, can you please talk about this, as it's an important issue, I think. I live in Beaumont. The estate I live in is quite an elderly estate. Lots of people over the age of 70. They're all lovely, don't get me wrong, but most of them drive, and in my opinion, they aren't fit to be behind the wheel of a car. I regularly witness their erratic driving, crossing over to the other side of the road, not braking, over-accelerating. There have been a few near misses with other cars and pedestrians. I think it's time we looked at mandatory driving tests for motorists every 2 years. I'm sure many of them are great drivers, but let's be fair, they can't be as sharp when they hit their 70s. It's only a matter of time before there's a serious crash in my estate. I'm not being ageist. I just want our roads a bit safer. Please read this out. Love the show, says Joseph. So Joseph lives in an estate that has lots of people in their 70s, and they drive cars, as many people in their 70s do. For a lot of people in their 70s, it's their lifeline. It's their way of getting to the shops or to the church, because a lot of elderly people like going to the church. And Joseph says he's witnessed a lot of erratic driving from them, and he wants to see them have to sit a test every 2 years at the age of 70. Now, I know it's been in the news over the last couple of weeks about Japan. Japan has a very ageing motorist population. There's a lot of elderly motorists in Japan. What they've started to do is they've started to put limiters on cars for elderly drivers so that they can't drive too fast, which is Is it a good idea or is it a bad idea? What they say is it's reduced the amount of crashes that have happened, so maybe it is a good idea. There's a huge reaction to this. We're going to get our poll results in a moment as well. I asked you, should drivers over 70 have to resit the test every 2 years? Call us now, 679799881. Joe and Irene, I'll come to you in a second, but I want to go to Ian first from Safety First Driving School. How are you, Ian?
Morning there, Jeremy. How are you getting on today?
I'm grand. Now, I assume you're not giving any driving lessons to people in their 70s, or are you? Maybe you are.
I've taught people in their 80s, Jeremy, yeah.
No way! So someone in their 80s came along to you for driving lessons?
Yeah, that's because their husband died, and unfortunately, and the husband was the main driver, so they had to kind of learn just to get around.
Okay, so she needed the mobility of being able to get around, and it must have been very brave of her to come to you at 80 years of age to learn to drive.
Exactly, yeah. Now, I teach automatic only now. It's automaticlessons.ie. But yeah, in Brazil, as far as I know, you can't drive after 70, which I found ridiculous. But in Ireland, the law is you have to get a medical every year.
Yes, it's subject to certification of fitness to drive by a GP, and I think the maximum licence you can get is a 3-year licence over the age of 70. Are motorists in their 70s and the woman you gave lessons to in her 80s, are they as sharp as they should be?
Well, I don't think so. Like, only yesterday I was behind somebody who was on a lesson in Damastown. The speed limit is 80. And the road was quite clear, but the car ahead was very slow. He's driving in an older Mercedes. Typical as an older man driving the cars. We went by to overtake. He's only doing 50. The problem I find a lot of older people is they have this attitude that they get there safe, not in a hurry, but they're holding up everybody. They don't want to do the speed limit, and they're just at their own little
So do you think they're causing more harm by driving slow? This so-called Sunday driver.
Typically, yeah. And I'm not going to tar them all with the same brush because we had a subject with this before where somebody rang in and say, oh yeah, I drive every type of vehicle, I'm a professional driver, drove limousines, the whole lot. But at the end of the day, the typical older driver in their 70s plus will drive too slow. They'll react slower. They'll just drive slower than everybody else, especially in built-up areas and motorways as well. It's typically an older man or woman behind the wheel in the middle lane, hogging up the whole lane. But again, not always. But in my experience, yes, an older driver. I've always said this: if you don't want to drive at the same speed limit as everybody else,
you shouldn't be on the road. Yeah. Well, do you agree with the suggestion that you should have to resit the test every 2 years?
Yeah, because with medically, first of all, but yeah, I mean, it's never going to come into this country. I think in this country, you should have to do your test every 10 years, every time you renew your license.
Everybody should.
But at the end of the day, that's never going to happen in this country. But yeah, I think when you hit a certain age, definitely 70, 75 plus, you should have to do a medical and a thing, yeah.
Okay, stay there for a second, please, Ian. That's Ian from Safety First Driving School. I'd like to hear from you, 6797981. Text or WhatsApp your comments to 0877 98 98 98. We're talking about Joseph's suggestion that drivers over the age of 70 should have to resit their test every 2 years. And a lot of people are annoyed about this. A lot of people agree. You heard it from Ian himself, and what better man to ask? You know, he's a driving instructor, and he says, obviously, a lot of motorists in their 70s or even older are not as sharp as younger drivers. Irene, you're annoyed about this. Why?
Absolutely. First of all, I want to congratulate you on the birth of your baby daughter.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Love the name.
Alexandria, yeah. Thank you.
Oh, it's done. Beautiful. I hope everything is okay with the wife and all that. Now, to go back to the gentleman, I think what's happening in this country, there's no respect for older people anymore. If you're not getting shunned down by people that drive, right, you're getting shunned down by the government because you bought a house and that's rent out your bedroom. My attitude is, Jeremy, that if you look at the statistics, there is less people in their 70s crashing cars than people between 25 and 40. Do you know what I mean? So
yeah, let me cut across you there. That's because there's less people in that age bracket actually on the roads.
I can understand that. My father, Lord Merson, was a fantastic driver. Lorry driver, drove Arctic, done everything right. And he only used to say to us when he'd take us out on Sunday, no, he didn't crawl along, he drove. He used to say, see that person flying past me? They'll get there in no time, but we'll get there in plenty. And that's what's wrong today. Everyone is up the back of your car. They're all in a hurry. Get out of their way.
No, but as Ian said, there's a speed limit there for a reason. If it says 60 kilometres an hour on the road, you're supposed to drive at that speed, and you shouldn't be doing 20 kilometres an hour.
Equally, I can respect the fact that if you're elderly and you've been used to driving at a certain speed, like the generation in the last 2 or 3 generations, it's everything is speed. You know what I mean? And that's the greatest killer on our road, the speed. You know what I mean?
Well, let me put that to Ian. I'm sure you wouldn't disagree, Ian, but Irene is saying there's nothing wrong with driving way under the speed limit, typical Sunday drivers.
Sorry, Irene, if I was driving behind you, I'd be going mad to overtake you. It's unfortunately drivers who drive like that, with that attitude of the older generation, like years ago. You know, there's a lot more drivers on the road now.
Oh, I respect that.
You need to be driving to the speed limit like everybody else, Irene, because you're going to hold the traffic.
Yeah, I'm not disputing that with you. What I'm disputing is that... I'm sorry, I beg your pardon, go on.
It's generally, unfortunately, when you drive too slow, first of all, a lot of people fail the driving test for driving too slow. Second of all, it actually causes accidents. It causes people behind to try to overtake dangerously because their car in front is just driving too slow, holding up everybody. And unfortunately, yeah, you will arrive alive by driving slow, but you're holding up everybody else.
I understand the
very, very annoying when you drive behind somebody at that speed. You should not be on the road.
If I was on the road, it wouldn't annoy me. I just overtake. You know what I'm kidding.
Sorry, but what age are you, Irene? Irene, what age are you? Sorry?
62.
62. Do you drive a car?
Yes, I used to drive. Always drove, yeah.
You are a driver?
Yes, I am a driver.
And how sharp are you?
Very sharp.
Like if a dog ran out in front of your car, would...
I'd break, yeah. Because when I was getting my lesson, that's how I was a driver instructor. The first thing they taught me was always be prepared to stop. Do you know what I'm saying? So that's the way I was taught how to drive. Always, you know, when you come into a situation with lights and all, slow down, but people go up to the lights at full force. You know what I mean? There's little things. No one is perfect on the road.
Okay, well, let me ask you a question, Irene. This Sunday, okay, supposing I was driving to the Phoenix Park and I got stuck behind you driving your car, would I get frustrated? Would you be driving really, really slow?
No, I would drive at the limit. I'd never go over the limit. I never have.
Like, has your car ever been in fifth gear? Has your car ever been in fifth gear?
Yes.
Okay, that's more than my mother's car has been. Stay there for a second, Irene. Thanks for your call, Ian. Let me go to Andrea.
Hiya.
How are you?
Good, thanks. How are you?
Grant, you have a story for me about this.
Yeah, so I used to actually think that older people were fine, but there was an old lady who lived next door to my mum, and she had 4 accidents merging on the M50 in about a 6 to 8 weeks time period.
Four accidents.
4 accidents when she was trying to merge onto the M50.
Okay, so she was coming off a slip road onto the M50.
M50, yeah, and she caused 4 accidents on 4 different occasions, and that was kind of what caused her to kind of say, right, I don't think I should be driving.
Hang up the car
anymore.
keys, yeah.
Yeah, and I kind of agree with older people having to take a form of the driving test, not the actual driving test that we all took when we were younger, because, you know, I don't think they need to that, and it is a bit insulting. But I think that definitely for things like being on dual carriageways, motorways, like even then, just another story, like my mother-in-law had to bring her car to be NCT'd, and she lives in Castleknock, and she was going to the one, you know, beside the airport.
Yes, I do.
So it's not far away at all. And she was trying to get over to us from Blanchardstown, and she got lost. She was driving for an hour and a half before she even got onto the M50. She ended up going up to Navan. She said she was so flustered. You know, and I mean, she's lived here all of her life. You know, it's not like the roads have changed that much. They changed a little bit.
Okay, but what about the fact that for a lot of people in the 70s, 60s, 70s and 80s, that their lifeline is that car, and that's the only way that they can get around?
But it's not, though, because they have their free travel pass. So my mother-in-law and my parents even now, they use their travel pass more than they use their car. And but that's what I'm saying. I don't think they should have to give up their car. I think that they should do a form of the driving test, just that basically tests their reaction.
Yeah, I mean, you don't want a 70-year-old telling a 70-year-old to drive around the corner backwards or to...
Exactly, you know, and they're not going to need to, like, they shouldn't be, you know, asking them, oh, where's the fog lights and where's this, you know, like, that stuff is just nonsense. But I think that if they can show that they can react quickly enough, if they're able to merge onto motorways, or else, you know, we could kind of, like, you know, the way with provisional driver's license, like, they're not allowed to use the motorways and stuff like that. Maybe something like that, only if they show that they're not actually able to merge safely.
And this woman who crashed 4 times in the space of a couple of months merging onto the M50, is she off her roads now?
She's off, yeah. She voluntarily gave up.
Thanks be to God.
yeah, I know, and she was lovely. It's just that she just was too old, and like she was in her 80s, and she was a nun actually, and and nobody was hurt, thankfully, because it was a busy time, so the cars weren't going all that quickly. But somebody could have been really hurt, or she could have been really hurt. So definitely a form of
some form of the
yeah.
And tell me this: your mother-in-law, is she a good driver?
She's not bad. Like, she's not bad, but she got she just got really, really flustered, and she said, and then that caused her. You know, it was an hour and a half on the road, like, and I was amazed. I mean, you know, she was coming on at Blanchardstown and only had to go over two more exits. You know,
I know, but she just got flustered. Yeah,
and I mean, she's lived here for like 45 years. You know.
I'd say your fear is that she stops driving it and you have to drop her everywhere.
Do you know what? I wouldn't mind. Like, I say that to her and to my own parents. I'll drop you anywhere you need to go. I do genuinely.
You're actually admitting that you want to drop your mother-in-law places.
Yeah, because I'd be afraid. They do drive slower, and I've seen them, and they're not aware. Like, I was driving behind them one day, and they didn't even notice, and then I was overtaking them, and I kind of beeped to say hello, and I could see my father-in-law, like, really kind of grumpily in the car, like, how dare somebody beep at me? I was just beeping to say hello. You know, he just didn't. He just wasn't aware at all of what was
completely unaware of his surroundings. Thank you very much for your call, Andrea. Joe, I'm going to come to you in a second. Let me read out this message. Wait till you hear this. I work in a garage. We're talking to this guy off air, and he doesn't want... Okay, I won't read out the message because I think we're going to be talking to her in a second. Here's another text message. This topic is completely ageist. There's nothing... Well, it's not ageist. We're having a debate about it, okay? I'm not saying... all elderly people should be taken off the road. This is a debate. It's a completely ageist topic. There's nothing wrong with 70-year-olds behind the wheel. They were as sharp as they ever were. But that's not true. You're not as sharp. I'm not as sharp. I'm in my 40s now, and I'm not as sharp as I was when I was in my 20s or 30s. Age catches up on you, okay? Age catches up on you. There's nothing you can do about that. Joe, how are you?
How you doing?
Grant, do you believe they should have to retest?
I think they should have some sort of like a confidence test to make sure that they're actually confident enough actually on the road.
How do you test for confidence?
Well, I mean, okay, I'll give you two examples. Okay, one was outside the house. A lady came up and she overtook a couple of cars that were parked on the road. Okay, she was in her right mind to do it, but the car that was in front of her left her loads of room that she could actually go left and actually clear the car, and she wouldn't do it. She stayed in the middle of the road until the whole road was actually cleared for her. So she wouldn't actually pull into the left to actually drive beside the other car so the other car can go through. Now, I had spoke to her and I went out and asked her, was everything all right? I thought she had broke down or something like that. And she was just sitting there in the middle of the road thinking that she was right, she was in her right way to do it.
She was probably a bit flustered, Joe, was she?
There was loads of room for her to get around, and like on the video footage that I have off the CCTV, you can actually see that there was loads of room for her to get around. She thought she was in the right place to actually stay in between the car where there's no other cars can move around it, and she expected all the other cars to go back around the corner.
Okay, and I hear you, Joe. And what we're hearing here, we're hearing loads of examples of elderly drivers causing ruckus on the road, but that's not every single elderly driver.
No, but that's what I'm saying. Not everybody. Where I'm saying is confidence. If somebody gets reported, well, then I think they should go and get, like, tested out.
So say, for instance, that nun that crashed 4 times coming onto the M50, after the first crash, she should have been reported.
Yeah, like, I mean, it's nothing bad. Like, it's just to make sure that they're actually safe on the road. Like, I mean, I go down and I drive trucks, okay? I'm limited to 90 kilometres on a truck. Now, you can imagine when I'm driving down and a car is coming on the slip road and the road is clear, the car has the full chance to do 100 kilometres. But when you get some of the old biddies that come down the slip road, they'll actually slow down. And even if I'm slowing down in the lane that I have to stay in, you know, they'll keep slowing down and they won't speed up and they won't actually drive in front of the truck.
And it's always old biddies, according to you. That's what it is.
Well, I mean, 90% of it would be, I mean, when you're on the road as much as me now, like, you would actually see the amount of old people that think, like, they're entitled to do what they do on the road when they're not entitled to do it. And it's amazing now since I started driving in the trucks that you could actually see how much the old people would actually put themselves in danger.
Well, take a listen to this. I work in a garage. This is a text message. We're trying to get this person on the show, but obviously they're talking about their job, so maybe they don't want to talk publicly. I work in a garage. The amount of elderly customers who have to struggle to get in and out of their car, let alone have the reflexes and mobility to drive properly, and then there's the knocks and the bangs and the scratches all over their cars. and the older women driving new cars that are far too big for them. Do you think they will see reason when it comes to giving them advice? No, says that person. I'm in the office. Please don't give out my name or the garage name. Well, that person's name is... no, I'm only joking. I won't give out your name. So that garage has a lot of elderly drivers coming in with knocks onto the cars and stuff like that. And the elderly motorists, they can't even get out of the car. Now, I have to say, my mother, who's in... Would she like me using the word elderly? What the hell? She would be a mature driver, it's fair to say. She is as safe as a house. Now, she's not as... I regularly slag her and say, your car is never... She drives a Toyota Yaris, and I always say to her, that car has a fifth gear, but it's never seen it. She would be a slower driver than me, and when she gets into my car, she's always, Jeremy, you're driving too fast. Jeremy! And I'm like driving 5 kilometres under the speed limit, but she just doesn't see that. So, is a slower driver a safer driver? Probably. Let's finish up with this text from Darren.
Hi guys, I'm on the roads a lot, and I'll be honest with you, the amount of stupid, dangerous drivers is absolutely crazy. I always said, and I do believe anyone going for a driving test, and even to be on the road now, should go for the mental assessment, because the stupid stuff that they're doing is just deplorable. And I think to a certain age, if you don't know your surroundings and you're not aware of anything, you definitely should be off the road, because killing somebody, you don't get a second chance. I mean, it's absolutely ridiculous. The standard driving on Irish roads is absolutely deplorable.
I wouldn't disagree with you, Darren. 71%, by the way, of you in our poll believe that motorists over the age of 70 should have to resit the test. 71%, that's a fairly high figure. You can't tar them up with the same brush. I will say that, and I have been saying that. There are some very good drivers that are in their 70s and 80s, but it's also fair to say you're not as sharp as you were. And if you got onto a plane tomorrow, if you got onto a plane going to Spain on your holidays tomorrow, and the captain came on and he said, how are you? This is Captain Jeremy here, flying my last ever flight. I'm 78 years of age. Now, I know you have to give up flying before that, but would you feel comfortable as a passenger in a plane if the pilot was 78 years of age? Probably not. Thanks for all your calls, your comments, and your texts. This is 98FM's Dublin Talks.
This is 98FM's Dublin Talks. Call 6797 981.
Now, at this time of the week, every single Friday, we do our quiz, Say What You See. Here's how you play the game. Well, first of all, you have to come on the air. If you want to play Say What You See this week, text your name right now to 0877 98 98 98. Text or WhatsApp us to 0877 98 98 98, just with your name, and we'll get you on straight after the break to play our Say What You See quiz. And this week we have a great prize to go along to the Borgosh Energy Theatre Wednesday week to see Circus 1903, which is described as the greatest showman meets Warhorse. It's supposed to be a brilliant show. A night out at the Borgosh Energy Theatre is always a great night out. If you want to win a pair of tickets to go along to that, to see Circus 1903, text your name right now to 0877 98 98 98. We'll play Say What You See straight after the break.
The sound of the city, from Balbriggan to Blanchardstown. Dublin Talks. 98FM's Dublin Talks.
Okay, it's Say What You See. We wrap up the show on a Friday and wrap up the week with this quiz every single week. If you want to play, text your name to 087 798 98 98. And our first contestant is Ronan. How are you, Ronan?
Yeah, not too bad.
Good. You have 1 minute on the clock. You're the first contestant. It's just myself you're playing with. So your 1 minute starts now. He had 10,000 men.
He had 10,000 men?
Yeah, and he marched them. Where did he march them up a hill or something like that? Come on, he had 10,000 men.
Can you give me another clue?
Who?
Can you give me another clue?
No, he marched them up to the top of the hill and he marched them down again. When they were up.
The Grand Old Duke of York.
The Grand Old Duke of York is the right answer. Well done, that took your time. Okay, here's your next one. This is Dublin slang for a story. What's the story? What's the...
Story Rory?
No, it's slang for the word story.
What's the crack?
No, Ronan, it rhymes with story. You'd say to your mate, what's the...
No.
Yeah, no, Ronan, you use this word. Trust me. What's the
story? What's the...
It rhymes with story. Oh.
No, what?
Ronan, you're driving me to drink here. Come on.
What's the story?
It rhymes with story, and Dublin people say it all the time. What's the...
Nori.
What's the Rory?
Nori, no?
No, Ronan, get off the line. No. My God almighty. Score of 1, Ronan. That's not going to win you the quiz this week. Dermot, what's the...
Diddley-Ori.
Diddley-Ori?
Yeah.
I've never heard any...
What's the story, Rory?
No. It rhymes with story, and Dublin people say it. What's the...
Oh, my...
Yeah, oh my God, that's right.
Oh.
You know, Dermot, we forget about that one for the one. Let's put that to the texters. Does anybody know? Text only. WhatsApp or text. 087 798 98 98. Because this is... I'm dying in the inside here that nobody knows this. It's a Dublin slang word for what's the story, okay? And the clue is it rhymes with that, if anybody knows. And it's not Rory, okay? Thank you. Dermot, you have 1 minute on the clock, okay? We'll skip that one. We'll skip that one. We'll forget that even happened, okay? And your 1 minute starts now. This is a slang term that the people used to use for women that don't give birth naturally, that have C-sections. They are too posh. David Beckham's wife is one of these. She's too posh.
Too posh.
Too posh to what?
Wash.
Too posh to not?
Posh to what?
Oh my God.
Too posh.
What's she too posh to do? She's giving birth. And she's too posh to
drop.
Too posh to drop? Jesus Christ. What's that? I don't know what maternity hospitals you've been in. Dermot, I'm gonna ask you one more time. She is too posh. She's in the labour ward, yeah?
Yeah.
And she's too posh to
push.
Too posh to push, finally. Well done, you're up to one. Here's your next one. This is a word for drunk, and it rhymes with lipsy. Tipsy is the right answer. Well done. This is he's the fella that I've started so I'll finish. When he was born he was really old, and when he died he was really young. Come on.
Go on, give a clue. Go on.
Yeah, when he died, he was really young, and when he was born, he was really old.
Pass, I don't know.
Dermot, you could be here till Christmas and you wouldn't get it. You have a score of 2. Well done, Dermot. You're in the lead. I can't believe you never heard the expression too posh to push. Does anybody know the other one about the story? It's a Dublin... Sometimes I don't get paid enough for this. It's the slang term, okay, for... the word story. Am I allowed to play this WhatsApp, Jamie, or this voice note? Okay, thank you. Let's have a listen to this. Jackanori. Thank you very much. Yes. Where is she?
Jackanori.
Yeah, what's the Jackanori? Has nobody ever heard that expression before? Kalash, what's the Jackanori with you?
It's Friday, so it's better than a Monday, isn't it?
Now, did you know that expression, Jackanori?
I actually couldn't remember. I didn't know.
Okay.
It's not a very Dublin.
It actually is. Okay, who's the fella that was born an old man and died a kid?
Born an old man and died a kid.
Yeah, it was a movie. I think it was Brad Pitt. And, no?
Yeah, I know.
You tell me it if you know it. Yeah, you know what I'm going to do. You know that. There you go. Rip that one. Forget it even happened. Sorry, I don't care. I don't care at this stage. Kalesi, you've a score or 2 to beat. You have 1 minute on the clock, okay? Please do well. Your 1 minute starts now. Here's your first one. This is the Irish word for a left-handed person.
Irish word for a left-handed person.
If you're are you left-handed?
Kithog.
No, right hand. Yeah. No, you're right. You're right. Don't say anything else. Well done. You're up to 1. Here is the next one. You would say this to someone who who never smiles. You say they turn the... What's the thing you drink with tea?
They turn milk sour.
You turn milk sour. Well done. You're up to... Oh, sorry, you hit the wrong button. You're up to 2. Here is your next one. This is an expression for somebody who listens in on other conversations.
Somebody who listens in on other conversations.
Yeah, and it's also an insect. Horrible insect.
A horrible insect.
Yeah. Okay, if you had your ear up to the door to listen in on the conversation.
An earwig.
Your earwigging is the right answer.
Yes.
Well done, you're up to 3. Here's your next one. This is, oh my God, it's a game show with Chris Tarrant used to do years ago.
A game show with Chris Tarrant years ago.
Yeah, you don't have to repeat everything I say. Yeah, who wants to be what?
A millionaire.
It's the right answer. Who wants to be a millionaire? Colette, amazingly, you got up to 4. I don't know how it happened, but well done.
I have help here, but one of the girls I'm working.
Jesus, it wasn't very good help. You're in the lead, Colette. You're in the lead with a score of 4. I think we've 2 more contestants on this. Let's go to Kelly next. How are you, Kelly?
Hi, how are you?
How are things? Hello, Kelly?
Hiya.
Hi, Kelly. Who was born an old man and died a baby?
Benjamin Button.
Benjamin Button, that's who it is. I'm going to give you... Oh, no, that is the right answer. Well done. It is Benjamin Button. Kelly, you've 1 minute on the clock, okay?
Yeah.
You have a score of 4 to beat. And your 1 minute starts now. This is a character from Frozen.
Elsa.
Sorry?
Elsa.
No, from Frozen. His name begins with O. Rhymes with Molef.
Olaf
is the right answer. Well done. This is... Oh, God. This is something you order in Starbucks, and it's a large size. Starbucks don't say the word large. They say...
Grande?
No. Oh, sorry, then it's a medium. What's a medium? Come on. Or maybe it's a small. Do you ever have a Starbucks?
No.
Okay, this is going to be a problem then. What's the drink called that's made out of milk? The coffee drink that has milk in it?
Cappuccino?
No, it's the other one. It's really, really milky.
Okay.
A what? And she's gone. I lost you, Kelly. I'm sorry about that. Although you were never going to get that anyway. The answer to that is I don't know. Maybe somebody can tell me what a venti is in Starbucks. I think it's a medium, but it could be a small. A venti latte is what it is anyway, because Starbucks are way too cool to use the words big, small, and medium. They all latte, venti, and grande, and all that. Ridiculous. Roisin, you're the last contestant on this. How are you?
Hi.
Now,
how are you?
Do you know what a venti latte is?
Yeah, well, venti is 20 ounces.
Really? I never knew that.
Yeah.
No way. Okay.
That's what it is.
Okay, you've 1 minute on the clock. You have a score of 4 to beat, and I have a good feeling about you, Roisin, okay?
Oh, I hope so.
So do I too.
Okay.
Here we go. 1 minute on the clock. Here is your first one. This was he lived in a pond, but he wasn't very good looking.
An ugly duckling.
An ugly duckling is the right answer. Well done. You're up to 1. This is an expression for a woman who's pregnant, and it's also something that you cook bread in.
A bun in the oven.
A bun in the oven is the right answer. You're up to 2. This is what your man Alf Stewart in Home and Away used to say instead of the truth. He used to say, remember Alf?
Oh my God.
No. Remember your man in Fair Income? Remember him? What did he say? He didn't say the truth. He said...
Honest?
No, it's the word truth, sort of with a letter at the start of it.
No idea.
Yeah, you do. Just put an S in front of the word truth.
Struth?
Struth is the right answer. Well done. You're up to 3. Here is your next one. This is when you go out on a night out on a Saturday night and you can't remember what you did, and you wake up the next day and there's all thoughts going through your head.
Fear.
The fear is the right answer. Next one, and you have won it. This is something you swing in a gym between your legs.
Kettlebell.
A kettlebell. Well, it could, yes. Wow, Roisin, you just got in there with a score of 5.
Brilliant.
Do you ever swing a kettlebell between your legs in the gym?
To my shame, no.
No, there's nothing like it, I have to say.
But I've seen people do it.
Yes, I do. Jamie shouting, I don't do it. Yes, I actually do. Well done, Roisin. You have won the quiz and you won tickets to the Borgosh Energy Theatre to see Circus 1903. We'll be in contact with you in a couple of minutes. Thanks, Roisin.
Thanks so much.
Have a good weekend. So what have we learned today? That Benjamin Button was born an old man and died a baby. That a venti is the word in Starbucks for a medium drink, because venti rhymes with 20. I didn't know that. And that Jackanory is slang for what's the story? What's the Jackanory? So you did learn some things on the show today. Don't say you didn't. That brings Dublin Talks to a close for this Friday. I hope you enjoyed the show. Don't forget, Monday, hopefully we'll be talking to that man who was reunited with his mother, and that other lady, Niamh, who was reunited with her daughter. We'll hopefully be talking to both of those on Monday morning show, and lots more besides that we didn't get through today. Have a great weekend. Myself and Adrian will see you Monday morning at 10 o'clock, same time, same place. Barry Dunn's up next with some great tunes like these.
I've been up for 3 nights at the motel.
The sound of the city from Adamstown to Artane.
Dublin Talks.
98 FM's Dublin Talks.